So, the other day I was taking a look at the Nintendo Switch logo and I noticed something a bit strange about it. Can you tell what it is? No? What about if I focus in on the top left section of the logo and put it on a 45-degree angle? Notice anything now? That's right, it was the Domino's pizza logo the whole time. Pretty wild, right? But what does this mean? Well, I've done some digging, and I think I've discovered proof that the Japanese gaming giant is actually run by Domino's Pizza. Now, I know some might call the logo similarity a simple coincidence, which is fair enough, but once you see all the evidence I've gathered, I'm sure you'll understand that this simple coincidence has a much deeper meaning than what might be apparent at first glance. So without further ado, I present to you Exhibit A, the plumber. Everybody knows Mario. He's as famous as Mickey Mouse these days, and much like Mickey, he seems like a pretty wholesome mascot to most. But could the plumber's design be hiding something a bit more sinister? Take a look at the main colors that represent Mario. Notice anything familiar about them? They're the same colors used for the Domino's logo, red and blue, and these are colors that Nintendo has used prominently a number of times over the years, including on the Switch itself. But the colors aren't the only thing that make Mario suspicious. Think about who he is. He's a plumber, yes, but what kind of plumber? An Italian plumber. And where does pizza come from? Italy. You can't make this stuff up. Moving on now to Exhibit B, the secret eShop code. This one honestly scares me a little. So once I found out that there might be a connection between Nintendo and Domino's, I thought that I'd look for some clues. And what better place to look than on Nintendo's own console? So I did some searching around on the eShop, and when I searched a certain phrase, I was very surprised at the results I got. That phrase was, Papa John's is the best. If you search that up on the Switch eShop, you'll be greeted with 4 results, all of which have nothing to do with the search terms. At first glance, they may look rather unassuming, but try reading the third word from each result in order. Domino's pizza is better. When I first read that, I nearly fell out of my chair. This was irrefutable proof that Domino's had something to do with Nintendo. But if that's still not enough for you, I give you Exhibit C, Yo Noid. Yo Noid was a platform-style game that released on November 22nd, 1990, and starred the Noid, Domino's mascot at the time. But what does that have to do with Nintendo? Well, what console do you think Yo Noid was made for? It was the NES. More evidence of a connection between Domino's and Nintendo. And this was back in 1990, so this conspiracy could go back a lot further than you initially might think. The Nintendo we've known and loved for all these years could have always been a simple front for Domino's to get their grubby little grease and cornmeal covered hands on some of that sweet video game money. But before we come to any sort of conclusion, let's take a look at the last piece of evidence I could find, Exhibit D, the names. This might be the most damning of all the evidence we've looked at today. First, let's take the name Domino's Pizza and write it out. Now, if we take all the letters from this name that matter and rearrange them a bit, we can see that the name Nintendo was hiding inside Domino's Pizza all along. This is clearly a metaphor for the company that we know as Nintendo being a part of Domino's. If that doesn't convince you that the two companies are connected, then I don't know what will. Everyone's so focused on this clearly fake Hideo Kojima Hasan Karaman thing right now that they're missing out on the real conspiracy. In fact, now that I think about it, the Hideo Kojima Blue Box conspiracy might actually be a clever ruse to throw people off Domino's trail. Let me just check something real quick. I know that if you type Hideo into Google Translate and set the target language to Turkish, it comes out as Karaman. Yeah, pretty crazy coincidence, right? But I wonder what happens if you reverse this. They're watching.